Hi, welcome to the award-winning Ed Brown Show. Hey, look, I know somebody looks familiar. That's Tina. She's from the Eclipton Productions there. You remember she dealt with finance before, but I told her, I said, we have to get some young people in there and get some. So she brought in her daughter, Talon. There's Tina and Talon. They're both fantastic. Young lady's only 15 years old, and she's participating Moving Beyond program. We're going to get all that information. So, hey, stay around, and have something handy so you can write some of these things down, because you'll need it in life. Okay, Tina, tell us about this Eclipton Productions.
Actually, that's Talon's company, and I'm Tina when I'm working with Moving Beyond, which is a nonprofit that helps communities move beyond their current situation into a brighter future for themselves. So as with Talon, she's an example of how we are getting students prepared for life beyond high school. So once she's in school, she's working on her career path while she's still in high school, so that by the time she's out, she's fully prepared, educated, indoctrinated into her career choice.
Now, that's a new program.
Yes, it is.
The school board, have they accepted that
It's not
procedure?
part of the school board. It's a separate program that's going to be a nationwide program where we actually come alongside other community groups or people who are working with youth in that area, where they may already have a Boy Scout troop or they may have a PTA. So it's not really based out of school, because schools prepare them for certain things, but not everything that they need to be successful once they leave high school. So we want to fill in those gaps to make sure that our kids and communities are ready, whether they're going to college or whether they're doing a non-traditional route.
Now, that's an important thing, and sometimes the emphasis we put too much on college, because some youngsters, they're not interested in college. And the blue-collar workers, some of them make $50 to $100
There's
an
many
hour.
opportunities.
So it's something that we need to realize. I know generations we've been pushing the young people into college. Figure that's the answer, but I think you have a great approach that'll cover a majority of the youngsters out there.
Do you want to say something, Tal?
With the school systems nowadays and just how generations do work, as you said, they kind of push college. So I feel like that kind of hinders children from actually seeing what they want to do, and they feel like college is the first and only thing that they have to do before they even figure out where they want to go. And they feel even if you don't need college to do what you want to do, they still go. And I feel like that wastes their time
and
money.
Well, that generation, that's my generation, where they tell you, okay, what you want to do is get an education, and go finish high school, get a college education, and then get you a good government job, work 40 years, and then retire. See, that's antique. That's
That's
gone.
not really.
Yeah,
and
but that generation, that's the one now. And what we have to do, like you're doing, we have to change that to give the youngsters an opportunity on the blue collar. There's more blue collar jobs out there than college.
And it doesn't even require you to be a blue collar worker. You just have to be the boss. You have to be and take command of your own destiny. It's more of an entrepreneurial, I would say. So if you want to you can own your own business. You can have a real estate business. You can have any kind of business you want. It's not necessarily blue collar, white collar, because you still need to know business. You still need to understand finance. You still need to understand how the world works. So I propose that for those students who are not necessarily interested in going for 4 years or 6, depends on what school you want to go to, and then find out I went to school for 4 to 6 years, spent all your parents' money because you were supposed to go, and now what? And then they're still asking the same question. So if we can get these kids identified earlier, 8th, 9th, 10th grade, do a battery of testing on how to, what is it they're good at? What are they interested in?
I think that's the key, and I think that's what we have to do as a goal, change it so that we realize a youngster get enough exposure. And a lot of that is mentoring. And that's the thing I say, you know.
Exactly.
When these different corporations come in the area, get them to mentor the young people as far as the ladder of success is concerned.
Exactly.
Because the things that you have to do, because I give a good example, my grandson, he said he wanted to be a veterinarian, you know.
Okay.
Okay, so my son said, oh, you do? Okay. So one of his friends is a veterinarian, so he told him, say, come on down a couple of weeks. So he went there a couple of weeks, you know.
How did that work out?
Then he said, in a month, you know. He said, I don't think I want to be a veterinarian.
And that's exactly what we're trying to find out earlier.
Right. Well, that's what I say. This was in high school, just getting out of high school, getting ready to go to college. He said, and he took on his nose. He said, "Boy, that odor."
It's more than a cute puppy, isn't it?
Yeah, more than a cute puppy, you know. So no, I just feel that community college is just the place for youngsters to get exposure, and it should be free. A lot of my educated friends say, hey, Ed said, right, we make money. I said, no, it should be. Give the youngsters an opportunity to be mentored by these different corporations that's already in your neighborhood.
And that's what we're doing. That's what Moving Beyond is going to do in Target. So Talon wants to make films, and she's already made some documentaries, and she's working on her craft. So I want to connect her. The program would be designed to connect her with other filmmakers while she's still, you know, in the intern stage, as opposed to being 25. She's 15. I don't see that that's a problem, as long as she's willing and ready.
Well, tell us about that now. How do you feel that you're going to be successful, and what route you're going to be taking?
I feel like if I work, and while I am working on my projects and my documentaries and my editing and my skills now, while I'm 15, I don't have to wait until I'm 18, 23, however old I may be, and then have to wait still, and I would have to come home to my mom and hear her talk, and all because I decided.
Well, that's a trend now, you know.
Well, we're going to break that trend.
Yeah.
We're breaking that trend.
But
youngsters stay home till they're 30 now.
No.
I don't have time for that.
No.
So I want to make movies, and I want to get my ideas out to people, and I want them to be seen.
Give us some example of the type of movie. Have you decided you're going to be, you know, cowboys and Indians? Or you're gonna be what?
I plan to be a fantasy, sci-fi, and adventure director. So a lot of my creator, and a lot of my ideas are kind of out there, and I like it that way because I don't want my movies to. I want my movies to be a break from the real world. I don't want them to be something that you can just go outside and see. Give you a break from reality, sort of. Give you a different.
Fantasy?
Yes.
You're talking about fantasy then?
Like different worlds, different ideas, different cultures, different ways of thinking.
Okay, what kind of preparation do you think you need?
I think that I should work on things like editing, things like storyboarding, things like brainstorming ideas, things, finding mentors to teach me the way of the craft.
Now, that's the key now. How would you go about that? You know, that's a tough job, finding mentors, you know.
Yes.
I mean, sometimes a lot of youngsters don't understand you're not going to get paid.
Right.
Right.
The same thing happened with the show here, you know. From Bowie State and some of the high schools, we give credit to young people that want to come in and do the cameras and work the power room and all of that. And the first thing the youngster said, how much are you going to pay, Mr. Brown? I said, pay. I said, you're not going to get any pay. But that's the thing they have to understand, you know what I mean? And most of the time in that mentoring and things like that, you're not going to get paid. And see, a lot of the youngsters say...
But you are going to be getting paid.
That you get paid in the future.
Right.
But
You'll be getting paid with experience.
Right. And some of the youngsters, they're in financial bind themselves, you know. maybe they bit off, like your mother said, more than you financially, and they have this car, you know,
right,
that they have to take care of, you know, before while they were in school, mom and pops were taking care of it. Now it's their job, you know, so that makes a difference.
Right.
And I believe that's why we need to have the nonprofit that we're creating, because what we're going to do is pair you up with different people as an organization, and therefore it makes it a little easier access, because like Talon said, the experience that you'll gain from shadowing, working with, learning the trades, and hopefully this will change the paradigm too for, you know, older people who don't understand that because she's 15 or 14 or 13 means she has to stop. They're 13-year-old billionaires. I was reading about the little girl and her honey, her lemonade, her honey and lemonade. She's what, not 4 years old when she started, and now it's $1 million company, and she's 12 or 13.
Right.
But a lot of people feel there's a rite of passage that comes just with age that I don't believe, or I don't believe that's the only way it can happen. If you have, you know, you have to identify certain students. Certain students, yes, you have to take them through the whole matrix, but you can identify certain kids who are just naturally.
But having the program available is key.
Right.
And
support.
And actually giving the students an opportunity with the system that we have now, you know, it's in concrete. You know, you go to elementary school, junior high school, and you know, college, and then you get your degree, then you go get a job, and you know, like that. And actually, it shouldn't be that way, because you miss a lot of talent.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, a lot of youngsters, people in positions, although they've done well, and they really don't like
what they're doing.
Yeah.
And then that means you have you don't have the compassion or the desire or passion to really do what you do. And like Talon can edit for hours, which I can't understand, but she'll be in her computer editing for hours, and it doesn't bother her. Now, if I ask her to do that homework for hours, I mean, you want to speak to that?
Or take out the garbage.
Right.
It's you get carried away with your passions.
Right.
So if you're passionate about something, then you can go for it. And I'm really thankful and blessed to have a mother that lets me do things like that. But I mean, she still keeps me in range, because how do you make a business out of this? How is this going to help me in the future?
How are you going to eat?
How am I going to eat? Where am I going to sleep? How is this going to help me? So in my free time, I like making animated music videos, and they don't really have a purpose. I just upload them to YouTube, and I take footage from another place. I add some music, and I change up the storyboard, but it's really fun to me, and it's practice. But I can't really make a career out of doing that unless I decide to become a YouTuber.
No. Then eventually you can, because you've had that background.
Right.
And see, that's one of the things that you just can't get in a regular school.
No, practicing your passion.
No. Right.
Yeah.
You can't get that hands-on situation there. Well, what do you find that as far as class times? I've had other youngsters in, and they've talked about the class time and the number of students in a class. I heard 40.
I personally go to a school where around 25 kids.
25 now.
Right. And that I'm assuming much better than 40 students in a class, because even with 25, it's hard to get your point across, and it's hard to ask questions or feel open to ask questions, or to have a understanding with the teacher, because they have so many other students to teach. I also had a smaller math class, because there was just extras of us, and it was about 13, 15 of us in that classroom. But even with that change from 15 to 25, I felt more open to ask questions. It was easier to ask questions, and it was just a better learning environment, especially paired with a teacher who cared about teaching more than I'm here to get a paycheck to just teach these kids. They cared about the student actually knowing and retaining the information. So I think those things are important.
Well, tell us how that works at transition through high school to the junior college.
Okay, I go to a middle college program. It's called the Academy of Health Sciences at Prince George's Community College, and
And that's a program that the county is sponsoring, or is,
yes, it's a county program.
Right,
Okay.
It's a public county public school.
Okay.
You have to test in, and you know they only take I think about 100.
That's what I was going to ask.
Right, 100 kids per year.
100, and you had to qualify through testing.
Exactly.
right.
Right.
And the testing is a general test.
Yes, the science and tech test that the county offers. And so from that science and tech, from the science and tech test, they take the top 100 students in the county. Well, what is interesting though, 50% of those students have to be first generation college students. So they're opening up access to kids who traditionally would not necessarily go the college track because their parents didn't go. So, and then the other 50% of the students are, you know, the rest of the county, the top that they can take that were interested in that program.
There's no additional financial
No,
cost
they
for
actually,
this, right?
no, it's no.
Is this available based on
Academics.
academics?
Yes. And so she's fully able to go to college and fully able to get a full ride in college, I'm sure, because of her grades, her stature, her time in school. But if she's going to take classes in preparation to be secure in her career versus a traditional 4-year setting. So it's not like she can't go to college or any other kid couldn't.
She still have that opportunity.
She has choices.
Well, how do you work with volunteers in your program?
Yes.
And how do you volunteer for a program? You know, information on a volunteer if they want to get into your program.
Oh, okay. So if they wanted to volunteer with the program, they could call the office at 301-574-9798 and just, you know, communicate through us through phone. And we are building teams. We're building the structure and the foundation to make sure that we're effective wherever we go.
That's what I was getting to. What about qualification that the person would have?
We'll screen where they're good at. You know, sometimes we may
that's what I say. Who determines that?
Well, I do.
Okay.
Right now. And it's based on where you're passionate.
And that should be determined by the need, right?
Exactly, the need and the ability.
Right, and need and the combination of the two, need and
ability, right.
You don't have to have a participating student in it, do you?
No, not necessarily, and we're building the board right now, and I'm actually considering having a junior board because as we spoke about earlier, you know, being on the board of directors and understanding what that means at 14, 15, 16
exactly.
As a junior board, one, we need their input, but two, it gives them exposure to now be on a board like you were referring to earlier.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying. And maybe one of the problems that the school board have is the fact that they have about 4 young people on there, and they have clashed on different things.
You have to be open.
That they think the program should improve on, you know, so, but it's a positive thing because getting the information from the individuals that's in the program is very important.
Exactly, you have to listen.
When you're sitting up there, you know, how effective it is, you know, the effectiveness of the program.
That's true.
And having a junior board like that expose the youngsters to the procedure of maintaining a program, what it takes.
What it takes to get a program off the ground, what it takes to run your business.
And keep it going.
Right, and what it takes to have
exactly.
And just having that structure in our community that's kind of lacking, that we are not creating as fast generational wealth.
Right.
We're doing it in pockets, but let's make it a broader spectrum. So if Talon's in a board meeting with me, what will you think how do you think that will compel your career or your exposure to how things are done?
I think it will help me with my business mindset and how things work.
Excellent.
I think it will help me understand better and just practice that type of mindset, that type of stature, that type of way of getting things done.
Yeah, because see, attacking that from along the lines of business is very important.
Absolutely.
Because that leads that individual into another area self-employment.
Yes.
Yeah, see?
Exactly. Generational
Right.
wealth.
Yeah, right. We call it generational wealth, but it does to give them some idea about finance and the procedure for that. And I talked about the procedure for wealth, as far, I said, with exposure, youngsters need to think in terms of, I know they have the computer and all, but reading like Wall Street Journal, financial, and understanding that, and understanding the stock and how it operates to the point, what is it going to do for me, and what I have to do to qualify for it.
And it might help them to understand better what they're purchasing.
Yeah.
If you like Starbucks, why not own some of it? You buy it every day. If you like, whatever particular kind of shoe.
And also with Starbucks, you find out who's, like I said, who's on the board of directors and things of that nature, and get mentored into that program, because all of them have that type of program where they actually train you specifically on their particular business.
Wow.
And none of it is the same. You can tell about the economic level, because what happens is that people don't understand 3% of the people own most of the money in this country, corporations, because that's what their job is, to merge and make money. Exactly. When one goes down, then they merge and they call it something. They just change the name and call it something else, And many of us have seen that. Now, the youngsters, are they attracted to your idea of programming type of thing, or are they in the cookie cutter thing still?
There's a mixture. Some people they enjoy it, but they only see it as a hobby, and so they end up still going along that cookie cutter path. And some people are like me, and they also just want to do what their passion is, and they don't necessarily follow the cookie cutter path, or maybe they just take a part of it, but it's a mixture of people. So there's still going to be people who want to be doctors and teachers and lawyers and all of that, but there's also people who want to be computer engineers, film directors, editors, artists, singers, music composers. It's a lot of different people, but some people just don't get the right exposure or the right support behind them to pursue.
And when you say support, are you talking about finance or?
Finance and guidance, like some people's parents just don't allow it.
Yeah, and some parents really can't afford it.
That too.
And see, you run in, what do you do with that? How do you handle that? Your organization?
Right, so in Talon's case, she likes taking pictures. So maybe that's not her ultimate passion, but she can derive a revenue from selling pictures or from editing other people's videos until she has enough seed money, and then we teach them how to use that money to finance their dreams and position themselves to be financeable.
Have you done any research on the things you're interested in?
I've done some research, but
Tell the joke.
Share
the joke.
Sound like that comes from mom.
So I haven't done a lot of research on the project, and also because sometimes I feel like I just don't need it. I'm getting there.
Oh, sorry.
But since I haven't done a lot of research, my dearest mother has given me a summer assignment where I research all of the roles in my career field and what it takes, all the people and all the funding it takes to make.
For doing it, just like your mother is qualified in the finance area, but there's other things than just the finance, like investments, I talked about, is that, but you can decide what you want to do. But the best thing to do is be mentored. You got to be mentored. See, and
we have to have more people willing to mentor younger people.
And that is the problem.
And now there's an age barrier in particular in this area. You have to be 16 to do anything.
Yeah, right.
And I don't understand that. It's like, if they're showing themselves responsible, showing themselves passionate, showing themselves and showing up, why is 16 the magic age? So now we've wasted.
Well, that's what a lot of youngsters say about driving.
Well,
those are two different things.
Those are different things. But to be able to be exposed to, I mean, even the 16-year-old driver, you're still in the car watching at 14 and 15.
They require, a driver to be in.
Right.
I've been through it, and all parents have been through it.
Right. I'm in it now.
Especially as 3 or 4 youngsters, and some of them don't qualify simply on age.
Right. and so you really want to, we really want to change the dynamic of how people see and perceive ambitious children. You do have outliers who will come in and just take this world to the next level if we allow them. Some of that we hold on to because we're nervous about what that's going to make us look like instead of embracing, wow, what can they teach us? The child should lead the way, right?
That last part is what can they teach us. And sometimes our parents are guilty of that. And, they haven't been exposed like their youngsters have to the types of things that they're doing now.
Exactly.
They did it when you were going to school. They did it 40 years ago.
Right.
But now things have changed, and parents have a tendency is that letting you Tanja Talent said, the cookie cutter, and then what you run into also is your peers actually chastising you for not going that way.
Right, and my peers don't necessarily do that to me, but it's still a little. You have to put yourself out there.
Awkward, yeah.
Because you're going to be, especially me, I go to a health and sciences school where I'm filled with people who want to be doctors and scientists and all that, and here I am. I want to be a film director.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying is that, if you're not following the cookie cutter.
You have to prepare yourself, and you have to really know what you want to do before you let yourself get swept away by the norms.
Yeah, that peer pressure, that's a strong item there for youngsters,
But it's not just the peers that she has to struggle with. My church Sunday had college day.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to go to college traditionally, how did you feel that Sunday?
Right. Okay.
So
glad to have both of you on the show.
Well, thank you.
Everything. Once again, Tina, give us that name of that organization.
Moving Beyond Incorporated, and we're located in Upper Marlboro right now, and the phone number is 301-574-9798.
Okay, glad to have you here.
Thank you for having us.
Keep up the good work there. We need young people. You are the future.
Yes.
And then we're looking for you to carry on. Okay? This has been Ed Brown. See you later.
Ah!